Hello mappers, how's it going? Welcome to another video. This one we're going to be talking about the creating the in-game map inside of our minimap in our Project Zomboid game. So for our map mod, if you're ever in game and you open up the map, you want your map to show your awesome roads, buildings, trees, forests, water, etc. Then let's go ahead and plop that into this video is going to show you how to get that going. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to need is the world editor. Here's the map that we've been working on, the Stripesville. Now, usually we're here in object view. What's going to help us create the in-game map is going to be this in-game map tab here. We simply we select that, and we're going to be using this screen a lot, mainly to add different types of in-game map definitions, and then we can use copy and paste to go ahead and do that. So how do we get those started? The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to be able, or not do, but use, is going to be this here, the in-game map dropdown. This is going to give us 3 features: generate building features, tree features, water features. These are going to generate things automatically. That way we don't have to surround every forest by hand. This will auto-detect and put those down. Same thing with the water features. And lastly, with the building features. So basically you don't have to go through and surround every single building outline. Then we're going to go ahead and write features to XML. That basically is what saves the map. When you save it, it creates a world map, 2 files with your world map. You drag those into your folder and boom, it's up on Steam. But let's get started. Generate building features. When I click on this, the first thing you'll notice is that my buildings automatically have a little outline, so that's exciting. These buildings will now appear on the minimap. The problem is that if when left alone, like in this tutorial, we just went ahead and create the buildings, put them down, etc. It's going to say building equals yes. So this will appear as a building in the minimap, but the problem is that it will not be color coded. The color code that we follow right on the key is like industrial, residential, hospitality, etc., etc. And that gives players information. When it says building yes, those colors will not be like that. So how do we get the colors on there? The solution is that we simply have to go to the building and we have to give it a type. So that's going to be inside of our tile editor. So I'm going to open tiled here, and then I'm going to go straight into tools and the building editor. Oh, I opened it on my second screen. Let me drag it over. It's loading tile sets, so see a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to navigate. Oh, here we go. We're going to navigate over to where our map is. So that's going to be in Stripesville. And then we're going to go into TMX, TBX. We're going to pick the cell number that we want. And then here is building 1. When we select this, it's going to be right down here. You see this legend? This is a drop down for the different types of legends, right, on the map legend that exist: community service, hospitality, etc. We simply select the one that applies to our building, and you just use your best judgment on what you think it is. And then once it's selected, it automatically saves. So for example here, this is a residential building, so I'm going to hit residential, and then that's it. I don't need to do anything else. You don't have to close it if you don't want to. I don't really need it anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and close all this to automatically save it. So once that's done, I go to in-game map and generate building features again. And now, even though this square looks the same, you'll notice that it says building residential. So now when the minimap loads into my game, it'll label all of these little house icons as residential. And this will happen for absolutely all of your buildings. So yes, you do have to go through every single building in your building editor in that format and click and select the drop down appropriate to tell them whether they're industrial, etc. So we should probably do that for as you go and build the buildings. Why didn't we do that previously? It's because I didn't want to convolute the steps of creating a building with, talking about the in-game map. Save it for this video. Now, as you know, the little asterisk is here. I always go and control save, as that's just my habit. But the thing I want to mention is that saving will not affect in-game map. In-game map features are not permanent. If I close my world editor and then open it up back up again, you will notice that all your in-game map building settings, etc., go away. Looks like it's a lot of tile sets it's loading up. See here, these are all our objects from the previous videos, but all of my in-game map stuff is gone. This is important because if you take so much time to create these roads here, to let's say that you adjust your forest objects and all that. If you close the program because you're like, oh, I hit saved, you're gonna lose your progress. We'll talk about how to save. Again, to save, you just write features to XML. We'll talk about that in a moment, but just wanted to point that out right off the bat. So let's keep going. Building features, boom, residential. In-game map, tree features is going to scan your map and basically look for tree areas and then automatically create polygons and name them natural forest, which is going to go ahead and surround all of your trees. This is going to basically create the green areas around your map. If there are areas that you're like, nah, I don't really want this to be green, or if you feel like it's encroaching on other areas, you can simply edit them by going to the edit in-game features. For example, what I'm noticing right away is that right here we have our two buildings here, and then this big square here, this is labeled forest. Well, that's the story zone, but this is basically the a polygon. So I'm going to go ahead and not surround my buildings by forest. So I'm going to click the edit, then I'm going to click the polygon. It gets highlighted in red, and that's how you know you're working with that polygon. These polygons aren't necessarily in order. For example, that one is this polygon here. You can see it's slightly gray. So don't try to, you can select to try and figure out which one is which, but that might take a really long time instead of simply clicking the polygon you want to choose. Clicking the actual blue might not do anything. You want to go ahead and click on the line. For example, when there are points here where it overlaps with the road, we can simply click and drag these blue squares to move the lines over. These lines will go in a straight line to connect to these little squares at all times. So you don't have to worry about the straightness of the line. You can simply move the squares wherever you would like it to be, and everything is going to that is surrounded is going to move. Now, how do we get this line to be out of the house? So let me zoom out a little. So what I'm going to do is if I drag this line across, notice how like now this is no longer covered. That's basically what I do is I want to go ahead and create these corners to go around my little house in order to not have my house be inside of the forest area. Now there are trees that are surrounded around the house. If I want to get more detailed, hovering over the line, you'll notice that there's a little red square. That little ghost here, it moves around with our mouse, is basically saying, hey, would you like to add another blue square? If you click it, it will add another blue square. If you did not need it for whatever reason, you can leave it, or you can put it over another blue square. But when you grab and drag it, there are two. It'll remember. It's not the end of the world. I use this so that I can effectively create more intricate shapes, right? With my zones, and then move them around. All right, so let's say that I'm happy with all of these forest areas. So the last thing that we do is our roads. It can get a little frustrating and confusing with all of the objects. I believe if we simply click view and show objects, that removes all of the objects, but these in-game map are not considered objects. So that'll make it easier for us to look at. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create our roads. Now with our roads, we have 4 different types of roads. We're going to actually have to type out these definitions here. And the 4 different types of roads are going to be primary, secondary, tertiary, and trail, which is my favorite. That effectively makes trails, in brown, etc., inside of your minimap, so you can get really detailed. And I feel like that really adds that next level mapping. Cool. So let me go ahead and start with my polygon tool, which is also my favorite. And I'm basically going to go ahead and go around the corners of my road. Now, what I used to do, and I don't know, a lot of people find easier to do. I don't know if I'm just insane by just surrounding the edges of my road here, is you can simply select the square tool and then just make squares all over. That being said, next point is here. I was mentioning that sometimes I'm not sure where the road ends because these trees are here, there's bushes and all that. So what we can do here, if I stretch this out, we can go into the layers, which is already selected. We're on layer 0, of course. Now if I go, there's going to be the vegetation layer. If I simply uncheck that, the vegetation layer is no longer visible, and now it becomes a lot easier to follow and take a look. Now if this house is in the way, we do the same thing. Maybe I get rid of the walls, maybe I get rid of the furniture here. And if we really want to, well, this only has opacity. We can get rid of as many of these layers, except for the floor, as we want, so that we can just focus on where the road is. All right, so I've gotten back to the beginning of my little map. If I, now it's gonna tell me, hey, I'm happy to keep going. But if we know that we've completed our little polygon, we can hit right click. Right click will effectively tell it, get out of here. So basically, we're no longer going to add to that shape. Now the shape is created. If I click the edit tool, I can select that shape. Now the reason that I wanted to do this is if I zoom out here, you'll notice that everything in here, this entire square, that is all part of the road, right? So we were able to avoid the water because we were around it, but all of this inside green, all of this inside water, houses and everything, that is all now considered part of that road. If we're to go to this polygon and label it highway primary, again, the key must be highway, and then the name can be primary, secondary, tertiary, or trail. Then on the minimap, it would just appear as one ginormous road, which is not what we want, right? We want 3 distinct lines, 2, 3, to appear there. So how do we fix this? I'm going to go to the edit button here. And then I'm going to go ahead and effectively select, add a little button here. Now I'm actually going to go all the way across like this. I'm going to double check that this was actually, that I guessed the corner right. I did. So now all of this is unselected. And we're just going to have to go back through that. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to add a little corner. It doesn't matter where. And then once those are selected, now these roads, right? The road is as I want it. These roads are now no longer covered. So then I simply do this. I'm going to go ahead and drag this over here. Now this is going to stretch that out. So again, you just make little squares and little corners to simply etch out whatever shape that you want. See, I think of it like putty. I'm stretching this part of the putty over here so that it goes and covers this road. You can make it overlap. Now, if you go past it, again, it's going to start removing things. So be careful about moving past, right? Because you don't want to end up with weird gaps. But you can effectively make it line up with itself. Is that? Yeah. Once you do that, now that part of the road is covered, and I can stretch it in either direction. It doesn't really matter. Now, if I know that I want it to stop there, I'm going to go ahead and click this and drag this over. I am clicking, holding, and dragging. So this is the other thing, right? Now, the points where you see this, if I had done this well with using the polygon tool, it should have actually worked. But when you start doing overlaps while you're creating the polygon tool, and there we are, 3 lines, that can get a little confusing to hold it in your head. So I usually recommend to create the funky shape that you want, and then after that, just go back and edit. So with this polygon here, now we need to give it a name. If you don't give it a name, right, if you don't add a property to it, it will not register in your in-game minimap. I'm going to hit add. The key is going to be highway, and the value is going to be their primary, secondary, tertiary, RY, or trail. For our primary roads, I simply hit primary, I hit OK, and now it says highway primary. Now, if you had multiple polygons, like with the squares, you want to select highway primary, and you go over here, and you simply copy it. You select another polygon, and you hit paste, and then that goes ahead and replaces whatever's there. Now, I don't want that to be primary, so I'm going to go ahead and copy forest, and then replace it. All right, once this is highway primary, then we're all set. We have our roads, buildings, water, and trees. With all of this set, we simply go to InGameMap and we write features. Here we have these. I usually create a world map and a world map backup. However, notice that I'm in something called the bunker project. So I want to make sure that we go to the correct one. Because I made a previous video, we will see that in Stripesville, I already have a little more world map folder. You do not need this world map folder. This is just a me thing that I like to have it for the sake of organization and making backups, etc. It is perfectly acceptable to save your world map here on the top level. I just like creating a little map to keep everything organized. You'll notice that it just says world map XML. Now, me personally, I have like a weird. I think that I used to do this incorrectly, and so when I saved and overwritten, it created kind of like a little like, oh gosh, did it actually work? Did it wipe my progress or something like that? So sometimes I'm a little, I don't quite use the overwrite as much. Here, let me go ahead. So I will sometimes, delete the file and then just write it fresh. Let's go to, where is this world editor? Stripesville. So here's our world map. What I want to show you, though, is that there are two things here. There's going to be world map XML and then world map bin. These back files. These are something that the world editor creates automatically for a lot of your files to back them up. Let me delete these. If they're there, it's not a problem. I just want to show you like what yours would look like. So you're going to see world map and world map XML bin. Both of these are needed, and both of these need to be put inside of our project in order to have the world map. Now, let's say that, let's close this. Do any unsafe change? Yeah, let's save, even though I know that none of the changes are going to get saved. Let's say that you added new roads. You went into your tile editor, you added new buildings, you added new roads, whatever, it doesn't matter. And you need to update your map. How do we do that? So if we end up coming back here, in-game map is empty. So what we do is we go to read features XML, and then we want to make sure this is Stripesville world map. So then you select the XML icon that is there, and you'll notice that it loads it up with all your polygons and definitions. Then from there, you can simply add to your road in whatever way, add to your minimap in whatever way you want. And once you're done, you simply write. Let me just delete these. We go to InGameMap and then write features XML. So you don't need to sit here and do your world map all in one sitting. You can do a little bit at a time. You write the features, that's how you save. And then after that, you can do whatever you want. If you close the program and open it, simply hit read in order to reload all of your world map features. Huzzah! Yeah. So now the most important part that we need to do is to test this out. So let's go ahead and put this inside of Steam. Let me go ahead. So this is my world map for the Stripesville, and then we need to go ahead and open up Stripesville on Steam. Now, from previous attempt, or actually this is my second time recording this video, I had the world map XML, but the same thing works here. If you ever need to update your world map, simply copy, paste, overwrite. And that way, I know it's there. For you, if this is the first time, this is what your Stripesville one will look like. Simply grab your world map and paste it in there. That's it. Now, once this is inside of this folder, we're ready to launch Project Zomboid and test it out. I do want to point out as well is that a lot of this is just detailed in the one-stop tile shop mapping. If you go to the zoning your maps at the very bottom, past story zones and all that, there's going to be this, that's customizing loot. How to update your map mod to work with the new in-game minimap. This is basically when they added this, which was in 2021. This is basically this video, this tutorial. I wasn't necessarily following this, but this is where I got these definitions about highway and primary, secondary, tertiary trail. Copy, paste that buttons, etc., etc. Generate water features, tree features. So if you need like a guide that is just written down, feel free to do that. Anyways, we're going to go to workshop, create and update items. We're going to go to Stripesville, next, and then we're going to upload to Steam Workshop. Once this loads up, we're going to just first probably avoid getting killed by zombies, and then seconding is we're going to go ahead and open up our map. Click to start. Oh, there we go. Zombies already trying to kill us. So, hey, hooray. Now, because I didn't activate the minimap inside of my server settings, you notice that there is no minimap. We have our cars, so that's exciting. Let me just go ahead and run away. And we're going to go ahead and give ourselves admin mode because that'll make us invisible. And God, set access level, the name of your user, me as Rackstag, and admin. Then we go ahead and open our map. So, hey, there we go. I like looking at this without the isometric view, and if you hide on visit areas, there's our map. Now, there's an issue here. There's no water. I might have not clicked the select water features, and so the water was not generated. So how would I fix this? We just go back to our world since this is already loaded up. Generate water features. This is going to go ahead and generate those water features and get that going. All right, let's go ahead and quit this. Generate water features. Once those are generated, I'm going to go ahead and write, which is how we save our progress, in the world map XML. We're going to go ahead and replace it. Then once that's replaced, we want to make sure we get that. So here's our world map from Stripesville. I just need the XML and the bin. I'm going to go ahead and copy these. Here's our Stripesville, the map mod information. Replace those files. In Project Zomboid, we go to Workshop, Stripesville, next, upload to Steam. If you want to add your change notes in there, you can. That is something that's useful. I'm going to delete the world and delete the player. Again, the player is what holds the map, so we want to make sure. Since everything's already set up, I simply hit start, and then once this gets going, then we're all set. And here's our map. Hey, there's the water. And that's how you fix it. Awesome. All right. Well, y'all have an awesome day. That brings us to the end of the video. See how this water isn't really quite touching the road there, and how these things look all off and funky. That's because when it generated automatically the features, it didn't quite hug the road, and that's why we would use the tool to basically edit these lines to make it look nice and clean. All right. If you like the imperfections, hey, not a big deal. It's just those little details I feel is what separates good maps from great maps. With that being said, have an amazing day. We'll hang out another time. Bye-bye.